Welcome to another episode of Spooktober Cinema.
Yeah.
This is the fourth episode,
Yep.
and where we will be discussing the cinematic classic Pumpkinhead.
Masterpiece.
Starring award-winning actor Lance Henriksen.
Yes.
Probably
the best part of the whole film.
And this introduction has been better than what the film was. No.
Yeah.
So Pumpkinhead.
I'm going to tell you, if you've never seen this and you pop it in your DVD player, just really fast forward past the credits. Like, if you can, skip in the chapter select past the credits. You're not going to miss anything. It's just a black screen with orange text.
The credit sequence in the beginning of this feels extremely long for the time. Like,
I think it was for most of the puppeteers in the costume.
Yeah. So actually, Pumpkinhead, this isn't the first time that we've actually discussed Pumpkinhead on the channel, because we actually did a review a long time ago with Fred for Pumpkinhead 2 Blood Wings.
Yes. Which is far worse than this one.
But then that star Bill, Then Bill Clinton's cousin in that?
Yes. It was Bill Clinton's, I think it was second cousin played the mayor, and he wanted everybody to leave the Pumpkinhead alone because he thought it would bring, like, tourists in. Just like, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, big money. They're like, there's people dying out there. It's like, tragedy, ain't it?
So the first Pumpkinhead obviously took itself much more seriously.
Way more serious.
Than that did.
So basically, how this movie goes, I'm going to give you the plot real quick here, because there's really no point in going scene by scene, because it doesn't really get good until...
Well, I need to point something out.
Okay.
Though. Okay. First scene says it's taking place in 1957.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It looks like it's taking place in the 1800s. It looks like Little House on the Prairie. Like, what is going on with that?
It looks like Little House on the Prairie, too, but the stuff that they have and use, I'm like, this wasn't around then either, but whatever. So
it's so bizarre.
Yeah. So basically... Why this Pumpkinhead thing is around? Pumpkinhead is this hillbilly legend in this town of a demon that can be summoned to enact revenge on somebody who's had a great tragedy befall them at the hands of somebody else.
It's a vengeance demon.
It's a vengeance demon, yeah. So, why would Lance Henriksen want a vengeance demon? Well, some kids come to town.
Some kids, some of them who look like they're in their 30s.
Some 30-year-old high school students come to town. The one starts drinking a good bit. They're all having a good time. They're drinking. He's like, I'm going to get on my dirt bike.
Yeah.
There's sand everywhere. He's riding his dirt bike around. Here comes Hendrickson in his little Sanford and Son truck with his little kid with him. They get out. He's going in a general store to look for some stuff. And his kid just starts wandering off. Well, the kid wanders right into where the guy's riding his dirt bike.
Looking for his dog.
Looking for his dog, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. The guy on the dirt bike just fucking rails him. I mean, he just comes right up in like...
Yeah, he's just like... It's like motocross jump.
Yeah.
Right on this kid's face. So like...
It's like no stopping it. He just demolishes this kid. So... This happens. He goes on his bike. He goes back up to his friends. He's like, "They're gonna kill me. I've been drinking." And they're like, "I know. I've seen you. We were all here."
Yeah.
So he just rides off on his bike. All the kids are still kind of there. Henderson comes out, and the one guy's like, put his coat over his kid. And he's like, "Is he alive?" It's like, I put my coat on him. He's dead as shit.
Yeah.
Takes his coat off, he picks his kid up, he's crying. Like, he did really good as like a morning, thing.
Oh, Henriksen,
he's fantastic.
Best actor in the entire film.
Yeah, he's
absolutely,
fantastic.
hands down.
So, he's crying over his kid, he sees the other kids over there, and then they just kind of leave,
Yeah.
And, that basically, now he has a reason to summon the Pumpkinhead.
Well, at first, it's not necessarily that he wants to summon Pumpkinhead, he wants to bring his kid back from the dead.
Well, he has a reason to look towards, the hillbilly crap. But yeah,
hillbilly crap.
He first wants to bring his kid back. He's asking around, and they're like, "Oh, there's this witch, that might know something about that or whatever."
Yeah, this woman who lives, the swamp witch who lives out in the middle. Nobody wants to go near her house.
Probably the second best actor in this whole thing.
Yeah,
she's fantastic.
Yeah, it's not saying much, but yeah, it's probably.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of them are awful. So Henriksen goes to his one neighbor and he's like, "You gotta tell me where she's at." And he's like, "You don't go there. It's not worth it. Sorry about your kid." Well, one of his neighbor's kids, the oldest son's like, well, I'll take you where she is.
Yeah.
What do you give me for it? So Henriksen gives him what appears to be a $10 bill rolled up. And he's like, well, you got to get in this truck because we're gonna go find her together. And he's like, well, I'm only going to go so far.
Yeah.
So he goes so far and he's just like, yeah, you just keep going. Her cabin or whatever's up there on the left.
You can't miss it. It's the only cabin in the swamp.
Yeah. So Henriksen, goes up to the cabin. He walks in with his dead kid wrapped in a blanket.
So fucking weird.
And he just like walks right in too. He doesn't knock or anything.
Yeah.
He just walks right in and the witch immediately knows who he is.
Yeah.
Cause she says Ed Holly about 5,000 times in the next several scenes. Can't do nothing for your boy, Ed Holly. This what you want, Ed Holly?
I swear they did not write that well at all.
So, basically, she says she can't do anything for the kid. But, he's like, well, then if I can't do anything for the kid, then I want vengeance. And she's like, well, you go to this graveyard.
This graveyard is perfect, by the way.
You go to this graveyard, way out in the swamp. Go out far as you could go. You'll know it when you get there. I'm like, great direction.
Yeah. I love it, because this graveyard that he gets into, it's just pumpkins.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like, laying in the grass. There's maybe a couple tombstones, like, here and there. And there's just, like, this giant pyre sticking up out of the middle of the... Yeah. And then he instinctively brought a shovel along. Which
she told him to take.
Okay, that's right, yeah.
She told him
he brought a shovel. He climbs up this thing, and he's like, oh, the ground here is loose. So he digs the shovel in once, throws it away, and then just starts ripping apart the ground with his bare hands.
It's like this thing's buried in like a cat litter box. It's not very deep at all.
It was just like, the guys who made that set, they're just like, hey, just pour some topsoil in there.
Yeah, it just looked like potting soil. Like this thing was, you're supposed to think that this thing has at least been buried since the 1950s. Yeah. This is supposedly 30 years later. You would think it would be buried a little bit deeper than that.
So loose soil.
So he digs this thing out that just looks like a tiny mummy. Yeah. Takes it back to the witch. Because she tells him earlier, she's like, you gotta bring it to me because I gotta do some stuff with it before it'll be good to go. Like she's got to change its oil and give it a tune-up.
I got to baste it a little bit, put it in a brine, and bake it at 350 to a golden brown, and then you'll have your revenge.
So he brings it back, and she's like, you brought it, Ed Holly. Ed Holly, this is what you want. Are you sure?
Are you sure, Ed Holly?
So basically, she takes the blood from his hand.
That's right, because she's just like, well, here we go. He's like, shit.
She really cuts him too, pretty deep. And then she goes and takes blood from the child.
Yeah.
And then she mixes in some other stuff and basically just pours it on the Pumpkinhead's chest. And it starts to smoke for some reason.
I kind of really feel like she could have just told him to do that when he was in the cemetery.
Well, she doesn't, it's not like she says a spell or anything. She basically just takes blood and pours on it.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes
the
Pumpkinhead, which to describe Pumpkinhead's character to somebody who's never seen it, it's kind of like almost dinosaurish, kind of.
I would say it's like a pale, gangly imp demon from Doom.
Yeah,
with an elongated cranium.
I kind of yeah.
That's kind of how I could say possibly, and it has a tail. Because it needs one of those.
It needs one of those,
aerodynamics.
So he brings the demon to life. He's passed out on the floor.
Yeah.
He wakes up and she's like, "It's done."
Yeah.
He's out. Ding. He's out. He's already gone killing. So Lance Henriksen takes his kid, gets in his truck, and he's like, well, I guess I'll go home now.
Yeah.
This is done. And then he has this weird moment where, he imagines that his son has, risen from the dead in the truck. What'd you do, Daddy? Yeah. And then it was so out of place.
Yeah, it made that's the thing, as soon as the Pumpkinhead creature comes into play and he starts killing, it gets really fucking weird. Because he has, this psychic link to the Pumpkinhead thing. So whenever he starts killing, sometimes he'll see what's going on, or he'll have, like, flashbacks of stuff, and I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense compared to what he's doing, but...
He's being affected by the Pumpkinhead creature killing these kids that wronged him.
I mean, like, why would you have a flashback? It's just like, he kills this guy, and it's like, he has a flashback, and it's like, my mom and I are making sugar cookies. It's like, ooh, you know? That didn't happen, but I'm just saying, like, he has flashbacks like when he's younger and stuff, and it doesn't make any sense.
So then, like, he starts to have second thoughts, and he's like, I gotta go back to the witch. We have to stop this.
After the Pumpkinhead character has killed, like, 3 of the characters, he's like, I'm kind of feeling bad now. Yeah. Maybe I made the wrong decision.
He put he killed the guy that actually stayed with the kid's body first, which I thought was
the only one that
even tried.
He did not need to die. He was the only one that cared.
He was the one that should have lived.
Yeah. He's there like, oh, I'm sorry, I tried to do what I could. And he's like, you're gonna die first. Thank you. I'll make sure the Pumpkinhead kills you first. The what? You'll see. Just wait till Ed Harley gets his revenge.
So
he goes back.
So he kills him, and then the girl gets her head pushed through the window, kills her.
The kills are really bad, by the way. They're really lame.
Yeah, one is the woman gets pulled up in a tree and then just drops.
That's funny as shit. It just grabs her, and they're like, where'd it go? And I swear to God, it's like, shoop! Like, there's this noise, and then they just look up, and it's just up there like, he's just like sitting on a branch, with his feet dangling, and he's just like,
But did you notice in that scene, like, they show the body drop, but they don't show the body land. They just show where it landed.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't really want to pay to, like, have a dummy that would look right when it fell. So, like,
they just dropped a stunt double and didn't film the end part of it. Yeah.
So he goes back to the witch and is, like, we gotta stop it. And she's like, well, you can't stop it, Ed Harley.
And this is the scene where he's like, God damn you. That's that one, right?
Yeah,
where he's like smacking himself in the face, like, God damn you, God damn you. He already has, son. He already has.
So
fucking great.
Basically, she tells him that you can't stop him until the job's done.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, well, I guess I'll go back to my house and I guess I'll just burn him.
Yeah, he goes back to his house. Then he actually, like, he's with the kids and they're all just like, well, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And he's like shooting Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
He's like, ow, that kind of hurt. And then he's like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
If I kill myself.
But he doesn't really notice that that's happening until he walks into the pitchfork.
That's right.
And
because the thing's like,
and the creature's like, damn.
You clumsy bastard.
And he's like, wait, we're connected.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll just kill myself.
Yeah. Which is funny as shit to me. Because he's like the last girl's like left. And he drops his gigantic, flamethrower that they got from Arachnophobia onto the ground. He climbs into his truck and he pulls his hand cannon out of his glove box. He's like, and then they go back to like Pumpkinhead going after her, and you hear the gunshot, and he's like, Rah! And he falls over,
and you're like,
and then here's Hendrickson walking out, the bullet hole in the side of his head, like bullet straight through his brain. I'm like, he can't walk.
No.
He falls over. And then it's just kind of like one of those gotcha bitch moments, because the Pumpkinhead's like, oh, I'm not dead after all.
Yeah, because Hendrickson was still alive, so he's not dead.
Hendrickson's like reaching for his gun, and the girl gets it, and she shoots. She understands, kills him.
So she kills Ed Harley.
Ed Harley, he's dead now. And
then the Pumpkinhead dies.
Falls over, and then bursts into flames a minute later. That's it.
So he bursts into flames, and then you see the final scene of the witch lowering the tiny tiny mummy into the pyre, and then you realize that it's wearing the necklace that Lance Henriksen's son gave him. So that tells me Lance Henriksen's character is now the new Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
But we know that isn't true because in Blood Wings it was the little...
Blood Wings had nothing to do with it. Had nothing to... Blood Wings, like, I'll save you guys like an hour and a half of your life. Don't watch it because it has nothing to do with the first movie. And Blood Wings is basically like a mom is getting revenge for her, like, deformed, retarded son that gets bullied by the Blood Wings gang, essentially, and he accidentally gets killed. She buries him. They make this spell, and he comes back as the Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
It's even worse kills than this.
And I don't even think that version of the Pumpkinhead creature was as impressive as this one was.
No, it looked worse.
Yeah. So you could tell it was definitely two different groups that made these films.
Now, what I will give this movie is, I think the set design, like the set barring the cemetery with the fucking mushroom hill that comes out of the middle of it that he dug out of, the set design and when they filmed it, like the way they filmed this, the atmosphere is like really good. I'll give that. Like,
yeah.
Once the Pumpkinhead comes out and it's like night shots and it's, you know, they're in like decrepit woods and, you know, there's like fog and leaves and shit blowing out in the church. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they think they can be, you know, safe inside this burnt down church.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
Those sets are great. And like, to me, that feels like Halloween to me. Like, that gets me in the mood. But that's probably the only positives I'm going to give this.
Lance Henriksen.
Well, yeah, I mean, we said that like 5-10 times now. It's like,
but that's,
if you want to see it, see it for Lance Henriksen.
See it for Lance Henriksen. See it for the atmosphere. Do not come here for the story or the thrill kills or anything like that because it's not there. Some of it's just downright comedic. Yeah.
So I do watch this one every year, but it's not one of the strongest of the entries I watch every year. But I give this probably like a 6 out of 10. Like,
I would give it like a 5. And that's just simply because I like Lance Henriksen. If it wouldn't be for that, I would give it less.
It'd be like a 2.
I don't love this film as I don't not say that you love this film, but it's nostalgic for you because you watch it year after year. I had only ever seen this film maybe one time on TNT's Monster Vision way back in the day with Joe Bob Briggs.
Good old Joe Bob Briggs.
And obviously with watching it on TV, it was cut even more than
can't even imagine.
It really didn't need to be cut. Watching the full cut, I'm like, this really nowadays could be on primetime TV.
Yeah.
Compared to the stuff that's on there now.
It's not really a long movie.
It's not a long movie. And it's I get what they're going to with the story, but it just isn't very deep. It's like, okay, it's a vengeance demon story. I get that. There's been others through the years.
Yeah.
Where like somebody's wronged and they conjure up this, you know, demon to avenge a death of a loved one or whatever. So it's not a new story whatsoever.
Right.
But it's just, I'm really confused as to why this thing is called Pumpkinhead, other than the fact that it's buried amongst pumpkins. It doesn't have a pumpkin forehead.
It's not pumpkin-y in the slightest.
There's a lot of things that are confusing. So I give it a 5 because it's one of those movies that I'll see it again, but I'm not going to go out of my way to see it.
Right. Okay, well, it might not be the greatest movie that I could recommend to you or that we could review, but it's still, I think if you're looking for one of those, kind of like The Old Dark House, if you're looking for a movie that gives you some good laughs, check out Pumpkinhead. That's what I'd say, so. Thank you guys so much for watching. Next time around, I think this will be the last week we can do this, right? Because then Halloween's the following week, something like that.
Yep. So next week we're going to cover The Beast with Five Fingers
and Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. One of my favorite Friday the 13th movies. So we'll catch you guys next week for those. Thanks. See ya.